Tonight, Canadian tourists trapped in a Mexican paradise overcome by violence. Puerto Vallarta, a city under siege.
The sky was dark with smoke. There were bangs going on, explosions and gunfire.
What sparked the explosions and gunfire and what Canadians have been left to deal with. Plus, the heartbreak of a nation. The silver lining to Team Canada's Olympic hockey loss. And saying arrivederci to the Winter Games with an eye on the future.
This is nation building at its finest.
The impact Team Canada had on the 2026 Games and what the country is being challenged to do down the road.
CTV National News with Heather Butts. Reporting tonight, Marcia McMillan.
Good evening. We begin tonight with developing news out of Mexico, where scores of Canadian tourists are now trapped, stranded there after violent clashes flowed into the streets, set off by the killing of a wanted drug lord by Mexican authorities. Violence erupting in the coastal town of Puerto Vallarta in the southwestern state of Jalisco, a popular tourist destination. But the danger isn't confined to that area. The government of Canada also warning of criminals setting up roadblocks in Michoacan state and Guerrero state, home to another popular vacation destination, Acapulco. Canadians vacationing or living in Puerto Vallarta now being told to stay where they are as chaos erupts all around them. CTV's Kamal Karamali spoke to some about what they witnessed so far.
Paradise burning, a usually sleepy Sunday in one of Mexico's most popular resort destinations, thrust into chaos that lasted hours, burning vehicles, roadblocks, and violent clashes.
The sky was dark with smoke. There were bangs going on, explosions and gunfire.
Canadian Dennis McCaig seeing the violence unfold from his balcony, going down to see the aftermath, which wasn't done quite yet because while we were on FaceTime with him, another attack right in front of his eyes.
It'd be like a war zone. The intersections are blocked with burned out vehicles and you hear bangs and you don't know where they're coming from.
Global Affairs Canada saying a shelter-in-place order is in effect in Puerto Vallarta. All taxi and rideshare services are suspended until further notice for everyone, including the 4,600-plus Canadians registered in Jalisco state.
We hear a bang, a bomb. Everybody was screaming.
Kathy von Brunswick from Quebec hiding out with other tourists at a grocery store with all the entrances barricaded, piled high with anything they could find.
Because they're afraid that they're coming in. The criminals are running around with jerry cans, taking away the cars and blowing them up.
The violence triggered by a military operation against Mexico's most powerful cartel, the Jalisco New Generation Cartel, coming a year after U.S. President Donald Trump listed it as a terrorist organization, Mexican forces killing its leader, the man known as El Mencho, Sunday, creating a chain reaction with the cartel retaliating across Jalisco to block military operations.
So they are now a cartel of 20,000 bad people that are leaderless. And as a result, they're reacting and they're really trying to make life difficult for government.
The Minister of Foreign Affairs saying Canada has updated its travel advisory to Mexico, with Air Canada now temporarily suspending operations and advising customers not to go to the airport. And several Canadians in Puerto Vallarta set to fly back home today tell CTV News airlines have been helping them rebook those flights and hotels have been extending their stays until it's certain the violence is over. Marcia.
Kamal, thank you so much. A man is dead after a shocking incident early this morning at the Florida residence of U.S. President Donald Trump. Authorities say a man from North Carolina drove to the entrance of Trump's Mar-a-Lago resort in Palm Beach, where he was confronted by a sheriff's deputy and 2 Secret Service agents. They say the 21-year-old was carrying a shotgun and a fuel can.
He put down the gas can, raised the shotgun to a shooting position, At that point in time, the deputy and the 2 Secret Service agents fired their weapons and neutralized the threat.
Trump was never in danger. He was spending the weekend in Washington, but he has faced threats to his life before, including 2 assassination attempts in 2024. Hockey fans around the country got up extra early this morning, hoping for one more golden moment at the Milano Cortina Winter Olympics. What they got instead was heartbreak and disbelief. American forward Jack Hughes scored less than 2 minutes into overtime to break a 1-1 tie and give Team USA Olympic gold and Canada a collective broken heart. Devastation and disappointment was the mood at watch parties all across Canada, including in downtown Montreal, where hundreds of fans flocked to catch the big game on a big screen. It was a similar scene in Italy, where Canadian hockey fans were still recovering from the women's team's loss in the gold medal final on Thursday. CTV's Garrett Barry reports from Milan.
A stunner and a familiar heartbreak for Canadians in Milan.
When it's a good challenge and it's a good rivalry, it always hurts a little more.
After an overtime loss in the women's gold medal game, this is a win that these Canadians really wanted.
I think everything going on in the world with the United States and Canada, the tension, this game was particularly meaningful.
I don't want to start any controversy, but yeah, we wanted to win bad.
Team Canada outchanced their rivals, but the United States scored on their first and, of course, last shots of the game, taking gold again in hockey.
We got the game we wanted, and the boys played. We played well enough to win. We just didn't do it.
There were chances. It will be a hard one to get over.
Why is it 3-on-3? It makes no sense. It's a gold medal game. 3-on-3 makes no sense.
No, I played sports all my life. I of course, it's a disappointment. You know, I mean, I really wanted Canada to win, but it's a game. At the end of the day, it's a game. Yeah, it's our game, but they won today. So congratulations to them.
My heart's always in Canada, and, you know, they might have the game, but they can never have our country.
This loss ends the Olympics and the makeshift Canada House that has bled red and white over the past 2.5 weeks and became a home away from home.
I mean, I haven't really talked to Canadians in 7 months, but it was just so energetic. I've been talking to everyone here. It's such a community, and it's just nice to see everyone come together and support each other, you know.
The NHL has made plans to host a World Cup in 2 years' time. It might be the next best chance for Canada to get hockey revenge. Garrett Barry, CTV News, Milan.
So with today's silver in hockey, the final tally for Canada is 5 gold medals, 7 silver and 9 bronze for a total of 21. That's 8 less than the 2018 record in Pyeongchang, where Canada's athletes took home 29 medals. A little later in the show, we'll head back to Milan for a look at the closing ceremony of the Winter Games and check out some of Canada's highlights and lowlights of the past few weeks in Italy. Appearing on CTV's Question Period, a U.S. representative is pledging more pushback in Congress towards President Trump's tariffs. This after the Supreme Court struck down Trump's global tariffs on Friday, only for the president to slap new duties on the world hours later.
We are determined that we are going to try to protect our residents, our consumers, and our international relationships. So we will continue to push back as hard as we can.
Debbie Dingell also making it clear she believes Trump's tariffs are destroying long-held U.S. relationships, including that with Canada. A large swath of the U.S. right in the path tonight of a massive, potentially historic snowstorm. States of emergency have been declared across at least 7 states, including New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and Massachusetts, as the storm system sweeps across the U.S. East Coast. Some areas could see anywhere from 45 to 70 centimeters of snow before it's all over. New York City has instituted a travel ban until noon Monday, and there's fear that the storm could lead to intense flooding along the East Coast. The RCMP says tonight that it has yet to determine the veracity of multiple threats made against the community of Tumbler Ridge, BC. Police say they have been made aware of threats allegedly circulating online and inside the community, threats which led the family of one of the children killed in the mass shooting to cancel their funeral on Saturday. The RCMP says a safety plan has been put in place, but, quote, the veracity of the multiple threats being received have not been corroborated. On PEI, a huge outpouring of support for the Humane Society after more than 40 badly neglected dogs were seized from a property. Their needs so great, the community stepped in to help the animals and those caring for them. CTV's Maria Saru reports.
Loading another bag of dog food into his truck, Colin Scales has been collecting donations and making drop-offs. It's part of a community push to support the PEI Humane Society after it took in dozens of dogs for their protection earlier this month. Scales, who owns Blue Ribbon Pet Supply in Charlottetown, says the number alone was staggering.
I couldn't picture 43 dogs being in one location, let alone the conditions that they were in. You always think a worst case scenario, whether it's that case or not.
He launched a fundraiser and the response was quick. About $7,000 helped buy supplies. Plus, a steady stream of donations came in, from collars to leashes and beds.
People bringing their kids in, their kids would literally give us money from like their piggy bank.
Over at the PEI Humane Society, Development Coordinator Ashley Travis can't discuss details while the animal welfare investigation continues. She says the sudden intake has been a strain on staff, space and supplies. But donations have made a big difference.
It's been a real rallying of the troops here at the shelter. We've seen our foster homes open their doors to these animals, a lot of staff working extra long hours.
She hopes people will continue to report situations that raise red flags.
Stuff like this is only possible because the public steps up and lets us know when something's happening that shouldn't be.
The shelter says what it needs most now are enrichment toys, supplements, and flea and tick treatments as it continues to care for the dogs. Maria Sru, CTV News, Charlottetown.
Community members in Arizona are offering their support as the search for the mother of television host Savannah Guthrie stretches into its 22nd day.
We're just searching, just walking, searching, getting some exercise and looking, taking pictures. If we find anything, submit it.
Volunteers scoured bushes and roadside areas in Tucson for any clues into the disappearance of 84-year-old Nancy Guthrie. Police believe she was abducted. The primary suspect is an armed man seen in surveillance footage at her home the morning of February 1st. Coming up.
Among high school students in grade 12 across Canada, 27% are vaping. That's way too high.
What experts say some vape sellers are doing that's making their products even more attractive to teens. Nearly half of inspected specialty vape stores are breaking the rules when it comes to selling vaping products, according to a new federal report. The products are designed to attract young people, so Canada wants to tighten enforcement. CTV's Kathy Lee reports on why there's so much non-compliance.
Bright lights, clean counters, strict rules on display.
20 mil?
For more than a decade, manager Hein Nago says this vape business was built on operating above board.
If you want to be compliant, it's very simple. Buy from the distributors that has been authorized by Health Canada.
But a new federal report suggests not every store operates the same way. Health Canada inspected more than 500 specialty vape shops nationwide and found 43% were breaking the rules, most often over promotion of prohibited flavors, testimonials or endorsements, packaging that did not have the required health warnings or showed nicotine levels above the legal limit of 20 milligrams per milliliter. Public health advocates warn those violations can make vaping more appealing, especially to teens.
Among high school students in grade 12 across Canada, 27% are vaping. That's way too high.
By comparison, the Health Canada data also shows less than 1% of gas and convenience stores inspected were found non-compliant when it came to vaping products. Researchers say specialty shops often stock a broader range of products, including imports, which can make oversight harder.
The importers, the retailers themselves, and the manufacturers are all supposed to have, the responsibility to comply with Canadian regulations. And all of them, I think, in some ways are struggling with that.
Nago worries the report unfairly paints rule followers like him, and the answer is better enforcement.
If you were to be more strict, have more inspectors going around, making sure, and take complaints from resellers, retailers seriously.
Last month, Ottawa raised fines to up to $3,000 and expanded on-the-spot ticketing as health advocates push for a nationwide ban on flavored vapes, saying patchwork rules make enforcement harder. Kathy Lee, CTV News, Calgary.
Still ahead. What one Canadian man is doing to honor the legacy of the father he lost to cancer. This week will mark a somber anniversary, 4 years since Russia launched its invasion of Ukraine. That anniversary not slowing down Russia's attacks. Overnight, its military launched 50 missiles and nearly 300 drones at several Ukrainian targets. The blanket of weaponry lobbed at Ukraine focused on the country's energy infrastructure.
4 anni dall'inizio della guerra contro l'Ucraina.
Meantime, Pope Leo is calling for an immediate ceasefire in Ukraine, saying the war is, quote, a trail of path that marks generations and peace cannot be postponed. Now to an inspiring story of a Montreal police officer who wanted to turn his grief into action. He lost his father to a rare form of cancer and is now raising money and awareness to help others with the same disease. CTV's Sweeta Rassi reports.
Last year in July, firefighter Sylvain Berthiaume walked into a hospital with jaundice and back pain. It turned out he had an aggressive cancer of the bile ducts.
But after a couple of tests, the diagnostic is brutal.
His son Jonathan Berthiaume says doctors gave his father only 4 weeks to live, but it took less than that. Only 17 days after his diagnosis, the volunteer firefighter passed away. He was 64 years old. Cholangiocarcinoma, also known as bile duct cancer, is considered rare, says Dr. Simon Turcotte, a surgeon at the CHUM.
About 3,000 to 4,000 Canadians that die of this cancer yearly.
He says when it's caught late, chances of survival are low, but there is hope. An upcoming clinical trial led by Dr. Turcotte at the CHUM will offer patients a new and more potent form of immunotherapy to help fight the cancer.
The idea is to transfuse white blood cells that recognize and kill cancer cells. We take those white blood cells directly from a patient's tumor. The patient needs to undergo a surgery, and we expand the white blood cells to very large numbers in an incubator to make a cell product that we can then retransfuse to patients.
While it's too late for his dad, Jonathan is determined it won't be too late for others. In May, he'll embark on a long-distance ride starting from the Montreal Fire Station on Mont-Royal Avenue, cycling to the St. Damas Fire Station east of Quebec City, the very station his father volunteered at for 20 years. His goal is to raise $50,000, money that will go towards research.
My dad did have the time to make his fight, so I decided to make his fight for him.
Honoring his father 1 kilometer at a time. The clinical trial is set to begin next year. Sweeta Rassi, CTV News.
Still ahead, drawing the curtain on the Winter Games, how Team Canada fared, and what's on the horizon. The Milano-Cortina Winter Games have come to an end with a magnificent show of solidarity among nations. 2 Quebec speed skaters carrying the flag for Canada, the pair capturing 10 of Canada's 21 medals at the Games. CTV's Heather Butts marks the grand finale for us from Milan.
The Arena di Verona, where tonight the historic amphitheater's illustrious past meets the future. A closing ceremony dedicated to beauty in action through human relationships, sport, and competition. Valerie Maltais and Stephen Dubois proudly carrying the maple leaf as they did on the ice. 5-time Olympian Maltais won Canada's first medal. She then went on to win 2 more, defending her gold in the women's team pursuit.
5 times
two sports. I think she's a part of the bigger story here, and that's women competing into their mid-30s and winning. That's something we haven't seen on scale before.
Milano Cortina embraced a model set to represent the future of Winter Olympics. Historic in its setup, events were held at venues spanning 22,000 square kilometers across northern Italy, challenging for team camaraderie and spectator attendance. Injuries haunted Team Canada even before the Games began, with star snowboarder Mark McMorris pulling out of Big Air and both hockey captains at one point sidelined. Still, Canadian athletes pulled through. Mikhail Kingsbury's magnificent gold medal in men's dual moguls, Megan Oldham's win on a stormy night on the ski slope, Piper Gillis and Paul Poirier's magical skate in ice dancing. While both men's and women's hockey teams would take silver against the U.S. Events were notorious for weather delays and late starts to capture global viewers, and the Games did not pass without controversy. Complaints about costly falls blamed on soft ice on the short track, an arena shared with figure skaters, and a curling confrontation. Accusations of cheating sparked a heated exchange and cursing by Mark Kennedy, whose team did go on to win gold. Many of these Canadian athletes carrying a financial burden. The Canadian Olympic Committee saying today the nation's sports system is under strain and winning fewer medals. Federal funding hasn't increased in 20 years. Today, the COC challenged Ottawa to invest.
There's no question that this for the government is about competing priorities. This is nation building at its finest, at a very modest expense when you compare it to pipelines and icebreakers.
The COC aspires to have Canada in the top 5 countries on the Olympic medal table, this year missing that mark. Still, they hope these results will help inspire a new generation and unite a country long after these games are over. Heather Butts, CTV News, Milan, Italy.
That's our show for tonight. I'm Marcia McMillan. From all of us at CTV National News, thank you for watching. We leave you now with some of the stirring images of Team Canada at the 2026 Winter Olympics. Good night.